So it looks like Fox is now attacking the MeidasTouch network's war coverage. We've been reporting accurately what a disastrous war, unlawful war Donald Trump got us into in Iran. And we have our Washington, D.C. bureau interviewing members of Congress like AOC who are providing actual facts about Donald Trump's disastrous, unlawful war. So Fox started attacking us all throughout the day yesterday, and they were showing the clip that we did in our interview with AOC. You'll see it right here. Our Washington, D.C. bureau chief, Pablo Manriquez, interviewed AOC on the steps of the Capitol building. You see right there, MeidasTouch. You'll see on the bottom, Chiron, they say AOC tells MeidasTouch Iran strikes were impulsive, and AOC was telling us also that this is part of Donald Trump's cover-up of the Epstein files and his involvement and friendship with Epstein. And so Jesse Waters, whose mom is a huge MeidasTouch fan. Shout out Jesse Waters' mom. And Jesse Waters is a bit bitter about that. And by the way, Jesse Waters' mom warned him not to be a conspiracy nut spreading disinfo and harming and frankly killing people as a result of his lies. But Jesse Waters didn't listen to his mom. But his mom's a MeidasTouch fan. Shout out Jesse Waters' mom. Jesse Waters started attacking MeidasTouch in our interview with AOC, and he brought on Kevin McCarthy. What a pathetic person to bring on as well to attack the MeidasTouch network. And Jesse Waters is like, why doesn't AOC get it? Why is AOC out there saying these things? Is she dense? Is she dense? And then Kevin McCarthy's like, she must be dense. Watch this segment right here based on our interview with AOC. Here, play this clip.
People are briefing the Democrats on is this a strategy for oil, for China, for Russia, for American security. Why doesn't AOC get that? Is she dense?
She must be. Why doesn't she study history? The last time we had an axis of evil, which we have now, the crinks, China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea, bound together to fight the Western Hemisphere and fight America. And you know what? In 1930s, that's what created World War II. President Trump is making sure we don't have another world war, making sure that America is strong, that we have critical minerals, making sure that he breaks up the crinks as we go forward and weaken China. You know what else President Trump's going to do? He's going to go to China probably at the end of the month in a place that shows greater strength. And America is not only back, but freedom is back. And America is standing up. Look.
All right. And this was going on state regime media all of yesterday. You had Mark Levin, who talks like that. I'm Mark Levin. We need to go to war. Do whatever Netanyahu tells us to do. I'm Mark Levin. If Netanyahu says you jump off the bridge, you listen to Netanyahu. That's my Mark Levin impression, right? So Mark Levin is out there screaming at AOC in the interview we did with AOC. And he's like, meh. Why is AOC saying that? Here, just watch this clip right here.
What about the tens of thousands of people who were slaughtered in Iran? Have you ever heard the Democrats talk about them? The Democrats say they're for women's rights. Really? Are they for the way women are treated in Iran? Apparently so. Right, AOC? You haven't said a damn thing on their behalf. They never, ever praise our military, do they? You have Hakeem Jeffries saying that we're going to lose the war. You know what that is? That's a traitor. That's right. I said it. That's a traitor. Now they wave around the...
All right. Quite a show you the interview with AOC that Fox was freaking out about, just so you can see it. Here was the MeidasTouch Washington, D.C. bureau interview with AOC on the steps of the Capitol building. Play this clip.
What's your message to Americans who think that the bombing of Iran was in some way sort of intended to distract Americans from the Epstein files?
Well, listen, I think we're seeing this pattern, right? Trump has impulsively went in on Venezuela. He impulsively went in on Iran. There was no exit and no end game for either of these situations. It led to increased global instability everywhere he goes. And every time he's done that, it has been consistent with a spike or a revelation in what is happening with the Epstein files. I don't think that coincidence is something to dismiss off the cuff. I think that he feels existentially tied to it. And I actually think that it is one reason that he must be removed from office, because if the Epstein files has such a hold on President Trump and this administration that they are willing to plunge us and risk world war in order to save themselves politically, that is a person, the definition of someone that cannot make objective decisions for the American people.
I have it.
Yeah, but apparently that sent Mark Levin into an absolute spiral where he's like, you know what? The Democrat Party is trying to sabotage the military. You are a bunch of traitors. You want to sabotage the military. No, Mark Levin. I think you want to sabotage the military. I think by you sending the military into an unlawful war because we believe that Netanyahu was going to strike Iran first, so we struck Iran first as a result because we said, well, if Netanyahu goes first, Iran's going to strike us. I think you are the one destroying our military. I think you are the one destroying American strength. I think you are the one who has placed the interest of America beneath the interests of Israel. And now you've got the United States into this, never-ending war. We've lost soldiers already. We now expect there to be many more casualties. Donald Trump is talking about sending ground troops. Are you happy there, Mark Levin? Is this what you wanted? You think this looks strong? This looks weak and pathetic. Do you realize that? Play this clip of Mark Levin. Let's play it.
The American people need to understand the Democrat Party is trying to sabotage the United States military, the commander-in-chief, in the middle of a military operation, what I call a peace operation, because that's what it is. Peace through strength. This is peace through strength. This is a peace mission. That's number one. Number two, they're giving aid and comfort to the enemy. When communist China and fascistic Russia and the inbred in North Korea and the Quislings, starting with the UK and others, and when the enemy, here's our Democrats speak about our military. Here's our Democrats speak about our commander-in-chief. Hear them speak about our country. We, the American people, they think they have some hope left.
But Mark Levin was not done there. He goes, in what section that they're out there, these media liars, these Democrats, they're out there saying this is unlawful. Where in the Constitution does it say Congress has a role in this? Article 1, Section 8. That's precisely where it says it. You fascist, you. Here, play this clip.
Now they wave around the Constitution. These people who hate the Constitution, they wave it around and they say, the Constitution says you can't go to war without our approval. So they're illiterate on top of everything else. Where does the Constitution say that? Which framer of the Constitution ever said that? None of them. The original draft of the Constitution said Congress shall make war. They took it out. They said Congress shall declare war. 11 declarations of war, most of them in World War II, the last one in 1942. So when Jefferson, one of the great minds of the founding, when he went to war against the Barbary pirates and he didn't get a declaration of war from Congress, was he violating the Constitution too?
I've got some important news that we can't let slip through the cracks, so let me bring you an important climate update in just about 1 minute. The Trump Environmental Protection Agency has eliminated the 2009 endangerment finding, which established that greenhouse gases are a risk to public health and environmental safety. We cannot let this story go away. This was the entire basis of the EPA's ability to regulate climate warming emissions and allowed the EPA to regulate greenhouse gases under the Clean Air Act. So this is just a total giveaway to the fossil fuel industry and will negatively affect attempts to get climate change under control, both here in the United States and around the world. Environmental groups are already suing over the move, and so I'll keep you posted with what happens when we have more updates there. And in an even more underreported story, the Trump administration plans to loosen restrictions on coal-burning power plants, allowing them to emit more hazardous pollutants, including mercury. The EPA has already exempted 47 companies from regulations to curb mercury and air toxins for coal-fired power plants for 2 years. We need to make sure that we continue to highlight these stories amid all the craziness, and I'm calling on all of you to speak out. So let me know in the comments what you think of these moves by the Trump administration. Let me know what you think of these climate updates that we're doing here in general. I want to hear from you. Okay, Ben, back to you.
You know, like Mark Levin pretends to be a journalist. He's like, all I want to say is go America. Go, president. You've got 92% of MAGA behind you. No, he doesn't even have 92% of MAGA behind you. You know, Mark Levin's like he's MAGA. Here, play this clip.
So let me just say this. Go, America. Go, president. You got 92% of MAGA behind you, and I bet you have most of the country behind you. We're going to destroy this enemy, free the people in Iran. China's upset. The Russians are upset. And the Democrats are upset. That's it. I'm done.
And to be a Democrat, you have to cheer for failure. How pathetic is that position?
So then you have some other shows on state regime media, which calls itself Fox. You have Laura Ingraham bringing in MAGA Republican Congress member Jackson. Here's what he says. Let's play this clip.
I mean, people, you're right. President Trump came in. He said he wasn't going to, he wasn't going to get an endless war. So he's not. This is what this is about. This is preventing an endless war, to be honest with you, right? These are people that the longer we let this go on, the more powerful they were going to get and the more long-term threat they were going to be for us.
Right. So, Congressman, just yes or no. So you do not think this is a big rift in the MAGA community or among conservatives?
I do not, and I think the more we explain this, the more everyone will see what's going on here, and it will not be a rift in the MAGA community. Everyone will come together and support President Trump as we always do.
Well, the Republicans seem to be supporting him right now, that's for sure. Congressman, thank you so much. Great to see you. And
more from that interview right here.
Do you have any concerns about the overall cost of this if it goes on longer than what we imagine will be maximum 4 to 6 weeks? That's what the administration seems to be saying and telegraphing.
Laura, I have zero concerns about that right now because of what's happening right now and the way that this is supporting our national security and our national interests. Look, the left-wing, progressive, politically motivated person you just had from CNN was on there saying that, we spent $180 million on this so far. For God's sake, Laura, we spent billions and billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars in Ukraine so far. Every time I turned around when I got in Congress, we were doing a $40 billion supplemental for Ukraine. There were people in our, a few in my party, but mostly on the Dems that walked around with the Ukraine flag on their lapel, and they were so proud of the money that we were spending in Ukraine, not questioning for 1 second where it was going, what it was being used for, or how it was supporting the national security and the interest of the United States. Now, I'm not saying I don't want to see Putin defeated. I do. I want to see Ukraine win this war. But look, it's very—
Then she brings on Stephen Miller's wife, who just lies and says, this is at the end of the day, this is more dangerous than it should be anyway. This is worse than Somalia. This is worse than Minnesota and Somalia. I mean, I don't even know what these people are saying. Here, play this clip.
Look at it more. It's crazy to see what we're spending our money on under President Biden, right? When you have the contrast of all these people complaining about the costs of this war, when in reality, this is what they've chosen to spend our money on. And quickly, I just want to point out that what we've spent on the war so far is less than what Tim Walz has lost from Somali fraud in Minnesota.
Ooh, that's a good one. Well,
by the way, if you want to see what our war coverage is all about, we bring on people like Democratic Congress member Jim Himes, who's the top Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee, right? He's the ranking member of House Intelligence, and he and I had a very lengthy 17-minute discussion where we went through all of the nuances of the sectarian issues that are now arising in Bahrain and Iraq as a result of Donald Trump's unlawful war in Iran, the impact on the other countries in the Middle East right now, the impact on the price of oil, the fact that America, military is weaker as a result of this. Here, let's play this clip of that interview that I did.
Well, back to your point about betraying the Iranian people, I have a theory on how this ends, and I'm willing to make a small bet on it. The next couple of weeks, you're going to see oil go across 100. In fact, it may happen today, $100 a barrel. That is going to translate into very high prices at the pump for the American consumer. God forbid, but there's some chance we're going to see additional loss of life in our service members in the region. Projections for the economic growth are going to go down because that happens when you can't get oil. And at some point in 3, 4, 5 weeks, the president is going to realize, and he's going to look at the numbers and he's going to say, this is really not tenable. and he's going to declare victory and walk away. And what he's going to say is, look, we had a couple of objectives. We said we're going to get rid of the Navy. The Navy's at the bottom of the Persian Gulf. We're going to get rid of the missile launchers. That's a little harder. They've gotten rid of a lot of them, but we did that. Oh, and by the way, we set back the nuclear program that 6 months ago I told you was obliterated, but now it's set back. Anyway, and he's going to say, our great patriotic, now we're going to make Iran great again, and he's going to declare victory and walk away. And maybe the attention of the American public will fade, but what will have been achieved is that you will have replaced a very bad supreme leader, killed him, replaced him with his son, who is more radical than he is, and by the way, committed to the creation of a nuclear weapon. You will have a wounded animal of a vicious regime, and if there's one thing more dangerous than an animal, it's a wounded animal. And you will have stirred that, if I can continue to use too many metaphors, you will have kicked that hornet's nest literally adjacent to the arteries that allow for 25% of the world's energy consumption to move. So that's the scenario I see. And at the end of the day, one of the most tragic elements of that will be that the people who suffer most will be the Iranian people, who briefly, because of the expectations that this president set, briefly saw freedom, only to have it snatched away and to find themselves now under the rule of somebody who was much more vicious than his father ever was.
Yeah, so there you have it. So, Fox can attack us all they want. I stand 100% behind our war coverage and calling Donald Trump out for his unlawful war. 100%. And it's finally the democracy community in the MeidasTouch network. We have a network like this that gets out the truth, actually says what's really happening. And our microphone's bigger than Fox, and they're obviously jealous about that now. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million subscribers. Thanks for watching.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.